because for whatever reason now there's not a go live button on YouTube. Like, it's gone. It's so weird.
Wait, hold on. The go live button is gone on YouTube?
Yeah, it's just automatically live. Apparently, I must have changed a setting somewhere. It's really weird.
Or now this is a much less likely possibility, but I mean, it's still a possibility, or my man got banned. Your live streaming privileges were taken away.
We're live right now. It's going.
Oh.
It's just automatic. It's like normally, you hit streaming and then you can go into the YouTube studio and hit go live on the post. The button wasn't there, but we're live right now.
All right. Yes, we are.
Upload defaults live. Visibility. It's so weird. Like
Zish. Hello, gamers. How you doing?
I don't understand. I'm completely lost as to why that is.
Now, while Matt's confused, I will go ahead and say, if you want to play Zero AD with me later, that's definitely going to be happening 100%. So,
I've been watching your streams. I've just been lurking though, so I'm not in the chat.
I'm so addicted. It's a problem. Like, I'm going to spend a solid amount of my adult life playing Zero AD now. Like, dude, I was working the other day, and the only thing I was looking forward to was getting off of work and playing Zero AD. Only thing.
So there's another game that's exactly like that. It's called, I think it's called War Selection, something like that. It's not nearly as refined as Zero AD though. I think that was one of the first videos I ever made on the channel.
I actually haven't heard of it.
Martin showed it to me. I was horrible at that game. You gotta remember, not a gamer.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, almost everyone is... The thing about Zero AD is everyone, even if you've played games like it before, you're going to be terrible at it. It's the only game where I can tell a player, like, look, for the first 6 hours, you're going to be shit at the game. But after that, you'll start getting decent. Like DT, I keep playing with DT, and DT is he's so good at the game. Like, he limited himself playing with us. He was like, I won't go past phase 1 or, upgrade my city or anything like that. He still steamrolled me and Scott, or some of you might know him as Arch Center on YouTube. I mean, he is just... DT is a whole nother level, man.
It reminds me a lot of Civilization, back when Civilization was, good.
Oh, back in those days.
I haven't played that game in 15 years.
Same.
Maybe I should play
it's been since I was a kid.
Like, they have a new one. Maybe I should give it a try again, because I used to love that game.
Well, but I mean, just saying, when you have Zero AD, why go play something else? Just now, that's coming from a complete addict. There, I don't want that to be misconstrued. I am 100% an addict, shilling for the game at this point.
All right. We should ask how our audio levels. I should this fucking mic.
I mean, you sound good on Discord, but as we all know, that could mean anything. Because I think you talked about it in the last podcast that we did, but before the podcast starts, Matt's always like, "Can you hear me?"
Well, all right. So here's a story. So I hopped to Garuda, as everybody knows, and yesterday there was an update to a whole bunch of stuff. One of the things was an update to Pipewire, because it uses Pipewire by default. And when I rebooted after the update, because it had a kernel update as well, because I'm using a Zen kernel, so there's always an update.
Yep.
I logged back in, and every single source on my computer had been changed. Like, I normally the default is for my audio interface and my DAC, the way it should be. I logged back in. The defaults were set to for the output, it was set to the audio interface, which I have nothing there. and the input was set to the fucking webcam. So I had to go through and
So-
change all that stuff. And then this is still a problem. So in Audacity, normally when you hit record button, it just automatically starts recording. Like instantaneously. Now there's like a 5-second to 10-second delay before it starts recording. And I have no clue what that's all about. So that's going to be something that I will be working on fixing as soon as we're finally done with this horrendous fucking challenge. So,
well, here's one thing I'll say. It's surprising to hear that, it's not surprising to hear that Pipewire is still having some of the issues that Pulse Audio just lives with daily. Pulse Audio always does that shit to me. It's like, oh, hey, you got, like your defaults all set up for all your audio devices, and you've even disabled some. Well, guess what? I've been updated, and I'd like to just go ahead and re-enable that shit for you and just scramble up things.
I'm going to forget everything you've ever told me and just go do what I want to do. All right. See, the thing that's about audio on Linux is that I would bitch that Linux doesn't get their audio right no matter what you're using, which is true. But it's not as if you could go use Windows and expect it to be any better. Like their audio on Windows is just as bad. You have just as many problems on Windows as you do on Linux. It's only different problems because you only have that one solution. It's Windows weird.
Windows is sort of a weird thing where typically your audio issues will be much far and few in between, but when they do happen, it's not like, oh, well, I probably haven't run an update. I could run an update, or it's, well, I just ran an update. And if I run one here in about, like, especially on a rolling release, like, I mean, dude, 6 hours, it'll probably be updated. Come on now. Like, there's a good chance that just wait a little bit and it'll be fixed. On Windows, you're like, oh, this is, you want to go fix it. Don't go pay for support from Microsoft to try and fix an audio issue.
Yeah.
It won't work.
Oh, buddy, what are you crying about?
Buddy right now is upset because I closed the window blinds and there are workers out there, and he would like to be able to see them so that he can bark at them, but no. The workers need to get their work done, and so do I. So, and my work involves this podcast and then Zero AD.
All right. I think after some pliers, I'll be ready to get started here. Okay.
Go ahead.
No, so what you're gonna say?
Crazy. Yes, don't worry. We scheduled this live stream like 3 minutes before. Probably not even that. It just went up. Okay, so it was a surprise live stream.
Yeah, we did not know we were going to live stream, but we decided just to do it. So, I'm gonna check the scenes before we start. So.
And while you're doing that, Linux Museum, yes, we were definitely talking about DT's Zero AD skills, because if you watch any of my live streams, you'll probably see DT pop in at some point. I consider it an honor that DT, because I know he doesn't really watch a ton of YouTube and stuff, and he's in quite a few of my live streams, and he's also played the game, played Zero AD with us multiple times, and he's also helped coach Dylan and a few other people on Discord, in the game with us. He's helped them like get some skills, which it's awesome having DT play. The only thing though is DT is a force to be reckoned with in Zero AD. I cannot beat him. It's impossible. I suck compared to DT.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. Are you ready to record?
I am.
All right. So it's going to go a little bit differently than normal because we're going to have to wait for that fucking delay in Audacity. So wait for me to tell you to do the claps. All right. So hitting record in Audacity, and now it's recording. Fucking stupid delay. Okay, I'm going to hit recording in OBS.
I have just now hit recording.
All right. And we can do the claps whenever you feel like.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Good.
All right.
Also in Audacity, since that update, the audio levels are way lower, like way, way lower for this mic. It's really stupid. Like the gain is completely gone. I don't know what the hell to do about that. I'm probably going to have to get a cloud lifter now, because I had to go through for the video I did the other day and just crank the gain up to like 15 decibels. It was entirely insane. All right. Okay, let's make sure one last time we got everything going. Make sure
Just to answer chat real quick, King Ivan, yes, you should definitely put Pop OS on your wife's PC. Pop OS is very nice. If she doesn't like Pop OS, there's always more shit you can try out. But my grandmother uses Pop OS. It's pretty nice. Now, not saying your wife's PC skills are the same as my grandmother, just saying it's a really nice user experience.
Gen 2.
Oh my god.
You're such a troll. Other than Joshua Lee, I haven't seen anybody else go after Gen 2 in a couple weeks. Where has Peter been?
Yeah, that's right, man. Oh, well, see, Peter's taking a break. Okay, when you spend all of your time, out there spreading the good word, it gets tiring. Missionaries got to rest too. So does Peter.
Well, I just hope he's okay, man. Like I miss my Gen 2 pals. Like I have a whole Gen 2 community, and I only have one of them. I miss them. Who's gonna? I can't be the only Gen 2 troll here, people. Like. It's just,
yeah, that's not right.
Because I don't use Gen 2. The funny thing is, neither does Joshua Lee, but he's like he goes through and he always pimps Gen 2. And that's crazy in the chat. Install Gen 2, bro. He'll take up the slack. All right. Excuse me. You infected me with the COVID again. Damn it. All the way. All right. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started. Wake up, Matt. Time to podcast. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Linux Cast. I'm your host, Matt.
And you're joined by me, Tyler.
We changed that, and I still can't fucking get it right. I just can't get it right. It's so fucking stupid. You want to know it? We're gonna do it again. We're gonna practice this until I fucking get it. This is why we do it live. This is why we do it live every other week, because you don't get to see this shit when we don't do it live. We edit this shit out. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Linux Cast. I'm your host, Matt.
And you're joined by me, Tyler.
Yeah,
hey.
He still didn't do it right, but it's all right. Whatever.
I'll never do it right, okay? Hey, you get to mess it up. I get to mess it up, too, okay?
No. That's not how this works. I get to mess it up. You're supposed to be the perfect one in this relationship.
Oh, shit.
Thanks, Dylan, for the super chat. I appreciate that. A super chat on the podcast. I don't even know what to do with that. I appreciate that, though. If you would like to watch live, we are going to be streaming this now probably every week. We were originally going to do it every other week, but at this point, who cares? Let's just do it. You know what?
Let's do it.
Stream. So it's going to be live every Thursday at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. That's 2 p.m. Central Time. If you're in other time zones, you'll have to do that math yourself, because that's way beyond me.
Come on. You don't have the spare time just to do math for like everyone across the globe?
They make time calculators for that shit. I ain't going any further than that. Anyways, Thursdays, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. We record we usually go live about 15 to 20 minutes before we start recording. So if we start going live at 3 o'clock, we usually don't start recording until 3:20, and then we usually bullshit for an hour or so. Sometimes I say sometimes because we have made it under an hour of record time twice in the last 30 episodes. So,
which is impressive for us.
It is impressive. I'm very proud of us. We've also hit hour and 20 minutes a couple times, but I don't think we've ever made it an hour and a half. That should be something we should try out. All right. So just a story. I mean, just it popped in my head. as everybody knows, I do another podcast. It's about movies, but originally it was about technology and gaming and stuff like that. Because I had hopes and dreams of being a technology blogger, which is, I was young and stupid. But anyways, we started a podcast in 2009. And it slowly transitioned to other things. But one of the times we decided to talk about games, and we ended up podcasting for 4 hours. We started at like 9 o'clock at night. We were done at like 1 o'clock. And that's something we still talk about from time to time because it's kind of gone down in like legend. We've done like 450 episodes of that show, by the way. Nobody watches it. Like nobody listens to it. Like I get five listens to that thing all the time, but it's okay because it's just the three of us dudes talking about movies now. Anyways,
well, see, here's the thing. I don't even know where to find it. Is it in the description?
No, I don't link to it anyways. It's probably why nobody listens to it. But
yeah, probably why.
So the thing is, I don't edit it at all. Like I have zero editing to do on that at all. I just take the recorded podcast and pipe it into Anchor. So it's called the 3Cast. And like I said, we've been doing it for a long time. It's fun. We don't do it very often anymore because the other two guys are like have actual lives and do things with family and stuff like that. Such
boring.
I mean, seriously, I don't know what's wrong with them. Anyways, so Tyler, what have you been doing this week?
I've had just a crazy week with work and family stuff. We've been going to family parties and it's just like people getting married, engaged, all that crap, which is nice and everything. But, that involves a lot of family, like parties and getting together with parts of the family that, you might not necessarily enjoy spending a lot of your time with. But nevertheless, it's been a good week there. So the local Subway, which is one of the 5 shops in town here, we got bought out by another guy who's in town. He owns the store like right down near us, and he's going to be pumping in money to the store and actually giving people, like, I don't know, money to where they actually want to be there and care about, just keeping the store clean, which is like literally the only thing you have to do. Because let's be honest, slapping meat and cheese on a sub is not necessarily a difficult skill, but yeah, so like
I don't know.
that's
From
good.
some of my experiences going to Subways, it must be pretty hard because they always get something wrong.
Oh, dude. Well, and it's in a lot of cases, like the reason why is Subway. A lot of Subways, like it's up to the actual owner on what they pay, and because franchising a Subway is expensive, a lot of the owners don't invest money in the actual employees there. Like that's where they cheap out. That's where they save all their money. And it doesn't matter how easy the job is. If your owner makes it pretty clear, not only in pay, but in the way that they talk with you, that you're not worth jack shit to them, you don't really take even cleaning half seriously. Because it's like, well, I mean, it doesn't really matter. I could literally quit this and walk 5 minutes down the street and have a job in no time. So, yeah, a lot of Subways, that's the case. So no one cares. But when you have people who just genuinely just need something to do, for extra steady income while they do other stuff, those are the ones where, like, if you can get a Subway staff with those people, you'll have a clean as hell Subway and get a sub that comes with exactly what you want on it, which is mind-blowing.
Oh, you mean the person who makes your subs not actually going to be having Apple earbuds in their ears so they can't actually hear what you're ordering?
Yeah, that type of stuff. Like, yeah.
We should just let everybody know that Buddy's in the background crying. He's not being abused anyway. He's just trying to have the window opened.
Yeah, he wants the window open bad, and he whines a whole bunch before he goes to sleep because he doesn't want to go to sleep, but he very much will. He has definitely been exercised. He knows that I'm talking, which means he wants attention. So if it was up to him, he would be hopping up, like trying to get in my lap, which he is not a lap dog whatsoever, and try to show himself off.
So so you tried KDE. Is that what you're?
Yep. So to finish it off with, I'm going back into KDE and seeing if I can use it as a daily driver. which is interesting. I'm really liking it so far, but it needs a lot more tweaks, and I can do a lot more with it to make it much nicer to where hopefully I'll actually stick with it.
Are you going to try one of the tiling scripts? Like
No, because I like, to be honest, if I'm going to use a floating window manager, I'm going to use all the like niceties of a floating window manager, like having wobbly as hell windows and all of that, like, goofy, fancy stuff, which I actually like. I do like wobbly windows and stuff, but I mean, tiling is also super nice. So.
All right. In the chat, they're asking about my Emacs experience. You'll just have to wait for a video on that. I'm sorry about that. It's that's going to be an entire video on its own.
I'm sure you're going to have plenty of nice things to say.
Astonishingly, I probably not. Anyways, so and obviously you've been playing Zero AD, so. Yeah.
A lot. Yeah.
If you want to see I keep coming back to this, and I'm sure Tyler's gonna eventually get sick of me making fun of him about it. But if you go onto his channel, he has a 10-hour stream of him playing Zero AD, and the entire video is of him making the same face, because he's apparently playing it on a monitor that was off to one of his sides. And he was just staring at it for 10 hours, making the most hilarious faces. One of those things I screenshotted, and then somebody else in your Discord started making these awesome memes for them. So
yep. I was very distracted and didn't realize that I hadn't changed the OBS source to where you could see the game. So you're just staring at my face for an obscenely long time. And the best part is now my Discord is filled with memes.
Oh, it's great. I think it's definitely going to be going viral. And it's just so good. Anyways, so for me, I've had a bad week. Did you know that getting a Wi-Fi dongle working on Linux is fucking the most torturous experience you'll ever experience? I mean, it's just it's so stupid. Excuse me. It's so bad. I've got a cold. Anyway, so I got on. So we're gonna talk about the GitLab challenge later on, but I wanted to do the challenge on an actual desktop computer, not a laptop, because I didn't want that laptop moves every time to time, and I just wanted it to be something that was stationary. So I hauled out a old desktop that I had that just needed a hard drive. So I bought a hard drive and I got it in here, set up, and used this old ass HP monitor, which you see behind me. It's like a 20-inch monitor. It has a resolution of something like 1120 by 860 or something. It's the weirdest fucking resolution I've ever seen. But anyways, it's perfectly fine. It has the huge ass bezels on it. But I got it all set up, and I was really proud of myself because the computer still works and everything, even though it hasn't been turned on in a couple years. It was good. And then this was like Sunday-ish. I think it was Sunday when I messaged you, told you that I got it all set up, but realized that the fucking computer did not have Wi-Fi. There was no Wi-Fi on it. So I got onto Amazon, subscribed to Amazon Prime, so I didn't have to pay for a shit ton for shipping. And bought a Wi-Fi dongle that said explicitly that it worked with Linux. Okay, it said it worked for Linux. The only problem is it said it worked with Linux up to kernel 4 dot something or the other. And nobody still uses Linux kernel 4 dot something or the other unless you're like in the enterprise or something. It's fucking stupid. Use a more modern kernel. It's not going to kill you. So... but still, I figured if it worked with Linux kernel 4 point something, it would probably work with Linux 5 dot something. I was wrong. I was really wrong. It won't even recognize it as plugged in. So, I was like, well, maybe they've updated the drivers, because they sent you, those mini CDs. I sent one of those mini CDs in the box that had the drivers on it, and it even had a Linux driver right on it. And so I they also had a website, so I went to the website and tried to go through and download the driver from there. No dice, it did not work. So I sent the fucker back and got a different one. This one said it also worked with Linux up to Linux kernel 5.13 or something. So I was like, this one has to work. It was also double the fucking price. So it went from $20 to $40. Still won't work. So, long story short, what I ended up doing, which I should have just done in the first place, was I have a Wi-Fi mesh router system. So I have three mesh routers all over the house. I just took one of the mesh points out of the kitchen and brought it in here. So now I have two mesh points in my room, in this room, but the mesh points have a Ethernet out on them, so that you can hook physically up to them if you want to. So that's how I'm getting internet to that computer. And that took multiple days because I kept waiting for shipping and stuff like that for the second one. And I finally got Wi-Fi like Tuesday-ish. I think it was like Tuesday-ish. I finally got the internet up and running, and I installed Garuda on there then. And then I'll talk more about what happened after that when we start talking about the Gitlab challenge, and we can bitch about the Gitlab thing. But that was the hardware challenges. I also did some scripting, which I was very proud of. And I switched to Emacs. Fuck my life.
Of course. Of course.
So
why would you leave the heaven that is Vim?
Because I hate myself and have this stupid need to make YouTube videos about things that other people seem to like. I mean,
as long as you acknowledge it, okay? As long as you acknowledge the self-hatred, it's okay.
Here's what it is. I have a hero worship of DistroTube, and he likes Xmonad, so I have to like Xmonad, and he likes Emacs, so I have to like Emacs. I'm stalking DistroTube. That's what happens. So. Yeah.
Well, the funny part is if you wanted to be just like DT, I don't think either one of us could actually pull every DT uses, because I've tried Doom Emacs. Vim was just better, man. Oh, I told you I'd do that. I don't know if it was right when we started going live or like right before it, but I hit my microphone with my hat and I was like, damn it, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that again this stream. It happens all the time.
That's okay. You haven't done nothing until you saw Matt bring out the pliers in order to get the damn microphone back on center. Well, because if I spin it, the whole thing comes unscrewed, so I have to hold on to this. It's stupid. Anyways, so that is what we've done in Linux this week. If you want to get in contact with us for various reasons, if you'd like to stalk us instead of stalk DistroTube, I mean, we always prefer fans, so we could use some fangirls and fanboys. It's a thing. You can follow us on Twitter at the LinuxCast. You can subscribe to all of our audio feeds and stuff like that at the linuxcast.org. Again, just because it's become tradition, eventually that will be a website. But don't hold your breath. If you want to get in contact via email, you can do so. Email at thelinuxcast.org. You can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/linuxcast. I'll thank all of our patrons at the end of the show. And you can follow Tyler, who goes by Zany on the internet, on YouTube and Odyssey. Those links will be in the video description below or in the show notes. He is like that close to 1,000 subscribers. Like I posted on the community page and we got him like 20 more subscribers that day. That was fun. So we need to, I mean, he's like this close. Come on. If you haven't already, go subscribe to Tyler. It's fantastic. All of his, especially if you enjoy like 12-hour streams of him doing inane things like playing 0AD or ricing or bitching about Microsoft for 3 or 4 hours. Go subscribe to him. Those links again will be in the video description. I don't think that they're in the description of the live stream, so I apologize for that. YouTube is fucking around with the live stream back end right now, and there was no live thing. Like there was no thing that popped up to like change the settings of the stream like there normally is. It just went fucking live. Like it didn't even let me change
never happens.
Like it didn't even let me change the title of the stream. It's like using a title that was before, and it was really weird. It's fucking stupid. Anyways, you can also subscribe to us on YouTube, where I publish videos pretty much every day at the Linux. I always fuck up this last line. I don't know why I fuck up the last line. Anyways, subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/LinuxCast. That was really good right up until that last line. I always mess up the last line. I don't know why. And somebody said about pre-recording the intro. What I should pre-record is the fucking contact information, because then I wouldn't have to do it every week. This is by far the worst part of the fucking podcast. All right. Anyways, so Tyler, I hate your stinking guts, and I hope you drown in a sea of manure. Seriously, I don't like you anymore. Friendship over.
So I'm taking that as you had a great experience trying to get Gitlab up, and you loved this week.
I just had a fucking good ass time. It was so much fun. I just want to come to wherever you live. I'm not going to dox you. I don't hate you that much, and strangle you with Buddy's tail. Poor Buddy. In that scenario, I said poor Buddy, not poor Tyler, by the way.
as you should have.
Okay. So you're probably wondering what we're talking about. What we're talking about is, so every 10 episodes or so, we issue ourselves a challenge. Last time it was a bash challenge, and I have to say that was much more enjoyable. This time it was Tyler's turn, and it turns out he's really bad at choosing challenges. I'm going to go on about this for a long time because it was a horrible experience. But this time it was a GitLab challenge. So Tyler, quickly, explain to us what the challenge was.
Very simply put, we had to self-host GitLab, either through something like a VPS, like DigitalOcean or something like that, or on a home machine and locally host your own GitLab instance.
I'm even worse. I'm even more mad at you right now because I didn't even think about the fucking VPS option. Because what I could have done was cheated like the cheater that I am and opened up a Linode account and hit the one-click install for GitLab. Because they have that. Oh, man, I should have done that. All right, so before we get into the woes of my existence, why don't we talk about you and your experience first? So this was your challenge.
Okay. I mentioned it to you before that I lied to you. Again, I don't know if this was part of the very beginning of the live stream, but Matt, being so generous, has already forgiven me not knowing what I lied about. I believe it was yesterday. I think you texted me while I was at work, and we were chatting about it.
I do that.
Yeah. You told me, you texted me and you were like, look, it's not going well. I've obviously put it off towards the last minute, which you're like, I told you this was going to happen. And I mean, I'm pretty much the same way. I procrastinate, and I wanted to I thought I would scare you and be like make you think like, oh shit, like if he's already got everything down, like it's great. I had gotten Docker installed, and I had already seen and watched a tutorial on how to do it in 25 minutes. Now, I texted you and told you, yeah, everything's going good. I've already got it working, all of that shit. I was totally lying. I did not have it up and running. I had put it off towards the last minute as well. But I figured I'd throw you off, make you think oh shit, this is not going to be good. And because since I had already watched the tutorial of how to do it in 25 minutes, I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. Problem. So I go home, and before I start playing Zero AD with Dylan, we spend, I think it took us about 15 minutes, got Docker installed GitLab for Docker, and then ran it. It took us about another 10 minutes to get, because you got to give Docker some flags when you run your container to limit its CPU usage and RAM usage. Otherwise, it'll try and take up as much as it can. Because it doesn't have any limits put on it. So I limited, because what my plan was to run the Docker instance from my main desktop here, since it's always on at home. And it holds my dot files, and so does all of my laptops. So the plan was run the Docker container from my home desktop, and then be able to push all of my stuff, all of my dot files, to that repository on this main PC, and then eventually push it off to the internet, or just I mean, the main thing is having just a local, like, easy repository to rely on no matter what. Even if my internet's down, I'll be able to get my dot files. You know, just cause, and also any other repositories I want to work on. Bro, I got it up and running, and I was like, okay, this is all good. We played Zero AD like a ton last night and fell asleep, and the goal was to wake up early this morning and then just set up the repository, push the dot files up there, and do all that stuff. I, for one, slept in till about like 12:45ish today, which is not good. And then also cannot get the Docker. I cannot access the GitLab like Docker container from anywhere, from the main PC, from my other machines. I just can't find it. So I can talk to you about how easy it was to get GitLab installed and everything through Docker and get it running. However, using it has been a nightmare. I can't figure it out. And I have like no time to, which is fantastic. So tell me about how your experience has been.
I don't want to. All right. Okay. So we talked about the hardware problem. Once I got all that out of the way, which was like Tuesday, I was like, you know what? I need a break from this challenge. Like, I know the podcast is coming up in 2 days' time, but I needed to take a day off. So I did. And that led me to Wednesday, which was yesterday. So I texted you last night and told you I hadn't even started yet. Like, I think I told you I got the tutorial up, and that was it. Which is true. I had the tutorial up. I still have the tutorial up on that computer right now. You can barely see it. It's right there. Or one of the tutorials. I've tried several tutorials. So starting last night, probably around 7:30, 8 o'clock or so my time, I started. And the first thing that I realized was that doing it on Arch Linux was not great, because there's no official support for Arch Linux for GitLab. There's just not. It has been packaged for Arch Linux. Somebody else did it, but it's not official. And there is documentation for it, but it's on the Arch Wiki. And if you know, the Arch Wiki is great. We go on and on about how great the Arch Wiki is. But sometimes the Arch Wiki gets in its way, where it just assumes that you know exactly what you're doing, and it skips steps that are supposedly obvious for advanced users. And when you're talking about something like Docker, or literally installing GitLab or something like that, you can't skip essential steps, because you still have to know those steps that are there in order for them to happen. So doing it on Arch was just a no-go. It just did not work. I tried at that point, because you talked about the Docker and Docker Hub. And so I was like, I'll try Docker. And that was just a mess. I couldn't get Docker installed. I don't know what was going on. And I had Garuda at that point on that computer, and it kept giving me these stupid errors. So I was like, you know what? There are just a ton of tutorials out there on how to do this on Ubuntu. So I was like, you know what? I have an Ubuntu USB key that has the LTS on it. So I'll install Ubuntu on that computer. It took 10 minutes. It's whatever. So I did that, and I decided I'm gonna ignore Docker for a minute, because I've never used Docker in my entire life. Like, I can spell it. That was about as far as I ever got into Docker. Yeah. So I understand what Docker is, but like I said, I've never used it and didn't know how to install it, didn't know how to do things in it. Like, you never use it. So I was like, I'm gonna ignore that, because there's no sense trying to have to learn two different things. So I'm just gonna install GitLab using their script, because they have a script to install using several different dependencies on Ubuntu. The problem is their script was written for 21.04, not 20.04. And 20.04, which is the fucking LTS, by the way, it's the one that's the most used Ubuntu distribution flavor out there, isn't supported by the script. So I kept running it, and the script kept coming out with an error when I was trying to add the repository for Gitlab. And it tells you what to do. It tells you to go into the script and change a couple of variables, because it's just a bash script. I did that, and it still couldn't work. Like, I did this, it was like hours and hours of trying to troubleshoot this, because I kept going in. Many other people have had the same problem, because they write their script based on one version of Ubuntu, not something that will work on many different versions of Ubuntu. And why they don't just leave it as the LTS, I don't know. It's the dumbest thing, because relatively to the number of people who use the LTS, the number of people who use those interim releases is very small.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was like, screw it. I will go from Focal Fossa, which I think is the 2004 LTS. I think that's what the name was. It doesn't matter. I'll update from 2004 to 21.04, which is what the script supports. Ubuntu hates me. I fucking hate Ubuntu. It's a mutual relationship. I could not for the life of me get it to fucking update. I don't know why. It just wouldn't do it. I followed the instructions. I'm not an instruction follower usually. Like, I know usually what I'm doing at least when it comes to updating a fucking Linux operating system. I know how to do it. I do it a lot. Couldn't do it. So I looked up a tutorial, followed the fucking instructions. It still wouldn't happen. So it's still on 20.04. The script still won't work. So I was like, screw this. I'll just use Docker. I have no clue what the hell I'm doing when it comes to Docker. So I Googled a tutorial. There are 3,000 different tutorials on how to install Gitlab in Docker. Every single one of them is different, okay? They're all different, and that varies too based on what operating system you're using. Not just what operating system, but what version of the operating system you're using. So I had to look up for specific tutorials for 20.04. And I found some, and again, they were all different, let's just, to the point where I got Docker installed, I got Docker up and running so that it, and enabled the service and everything, did the reboot, added my user to the Docker group so that I didn't have to use sudo all the damn time, and then added the environment variable that it asked for, created the directories that said it needed to be created, all of which were different in every single tutorial, by the way. Some of them having you add the directories to the .srv folder in root. Some of them just had you create a directory in your home directory. Who knows which one is right? I don't know. Because even the official Ubuntu... So I wanted to use the official tutorial on the Docker website for Ubuntu. But they use 18.04, not 20.04.
Oh my fuck.
Right. So I was like, you want to know what? I got to the point where it needed me to change the SSH keys for the system. That's where I stopped this morning. And I think I've talked about this before, but I don't know jack shit about SSH. Okay, so that's a lie. I did use SSH back in 2009 or something like that in order to SSH into an iPhone when I jailbroke the damn thing. That's the only time I've successfully SSH'd into anything. It's just one of those things where I've just never done it. I'm sure I could do it if I learned, but I've never done it.
I love the fact that the only time that you've used SSH is in a use case where 99% of people have never done that. Right. 99% of people have never SSH'd into an iPhone.
Well, the thing is, they have a tool for SSHing into an iPhone. I think it's called Crazy Fish or something like that. It was really easy. It was just a couple button presses. There was no getting. That was before my Linux time, so it wasn't if I had to get into a terminal or something and change this stuff. I have no clue how to do it anyways, that is where I stopped. So I did not get GitLab installed because I never got to that point. I did get Docker installed, so I have learned at least something out of this thing about at least installing Dockers, because I installed Docker 3 times. I installed it on Garuda twice, I think. I installed it on Ubuntu. So I've now installed Docker a couple times, and so I've learned that. I've also learned that we can't let Tyler do challenges anymore because he chooses hard ones, and I don't want to fail. All right.
Well, don't worry. I'm pretty sure everyone in here will agree that we both failed. I might have gotten my Docker image or Docker container running, limited, and all of that, but I still didn't get to a GitLab repo at all. I can actually, if you wanted it to or had it set up where I could share my screen, I could show you that, like, I do have the Docker container running. It's limited and everything, but that doesn't mean that I have GitLab instance up yet. So we definitely both failed at the GitLab challenge.
You made it farther than I did. I think the lesson that I really learned, and I'm still pissed off that I didn't think about this, is just to go into Linode and use the one-click install. Somebody said in the comments below, you should use the Docker Compose. I tried, okay? I got to the point where
I'm pretty sure that's what I used.
Like, you still have to change the SSH keys or whatever, and I could have looked it up, but I was running out of time. Okay? You got to remember, this probably would have been all fine if I started 3 weeks ago when we decided we were going to do this challenge, because then I would have had
both procrastinated here.
Yeah, the fact that I waited until the last fucking minute really increased my stress level. So there was another lesson: don't wait till the last minute.
Also, I learned my lesson: don't lie and act like you've got it fine, because you don't.
All right, see where that came from, and is because in our original challenge, you thought I was fucking with you every time I said you were going to do better than me, and you still think probably that I was messing with your head. Because I did end up winning that by the poll, by the way. I'm just going to rub that in a little bit. But it was really close, okay? And, I wasn't messing with you. I really honestly thought you were going to do way better than me. So you thought that you had to mess with my head this time. The lesson you should learn is that I wasn't messing with your head in the first place. So don't bite off more than you can chew, because next time I will mess with your head and say something stupid. I don't know. I'll have to come up, because all right. Well, you know what? We're gonna talk a lot of smack about that Ricing Wars thing we're gonna do, because I'm gonna kick your ass in the Ricing War. I'm just gonna.
I doubt it, bro. I don't think you can, man.
Oh,
I've got it.
Here's the thing. I've already won, man. I've already won.
Well, I mean, it is on your channel, so is it?
Well, you want to know what? Well, is it rigged? Like, all right, Mr. Trump, how much? We can put it on both of our channels, okay? We'll figure out what. I mean, we still haven't figured out how to record that yet.
You're hearing it now. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. This is fake news coming from Matt.
All right. Okay, so what else should we talk about in this Linux?
Well, we haven't gotten to the apps of the week yet. That's another thing.
Right. We've only been going for 38 minutes. If we only did a podcast for 38 minutes, they'd think something was wrong with us. I mean, obviously we're sick. All right. We're going to go ahead and do the apps of the week, but in the chat, if you have questions, now is the time to ask your questions. We'll do a 10 or 20 minute Q&A session after the apps of the week. So if you have questions, leave them in the chat. If you are watching this post live stream, we'll try to read the questions out, because I still don't have it set up so you can see the chat. Actually, there's no reason why. I mean, seriously, Matt, you have workspaces for a reason. What I can do is when we do the Q&A,
just so you know, now if you're watching on a phone, it does overlay the chat, and also, like, for me on my phone, it splits the video into a portion of the screen. And 16 by 9, I get the chat.
Right. If you're watching this post, or at least on the video, if you're doing this in the audio version, you're just gonna have to rely on us, talking out the questions. But if you're watching video, once we start taking questions, I will switch to the chat so you can actually see us. You won't see our faces anymore, but you'll at least be able to see the questions. That makes more sense. Okay. Like, why do I have to make things so hard? Right, anyways, apps of the week. Tyler, what is your app of the week?
My app of the week is Docker. What we were talking about, because I just want people to know, even though Docker was not a successful part of this challenge, Docker does make getting more complex things set up. Like me and Dylan were able to get my Docker container set up in like 15 minutes. Setting up Nextcloud in Docker took at most 2 to 3. Downloading the Docker container for Nextcloud was the longest part.
I missed that part where you said you had help, by the way. You cheater.
I mean, the only thing that Dylan really helped me out with was because he was trying a different method of setting up a GitLab container in Docker, but he helped me out in getting the finding the flags for limiting the CPU and memory usage.
Yeah. I don't really care if you got help. I was just more upset that I didn't think of it first.
I mean, you do have a Discord server filled with people.
I know, but I was trying to be a good challenge person, not go out and cheat like a cheating cheater.
Well, I mean, I don't consider it cheating if like you talk with other people and you like get advice. Now, if I had Dylan set up the Docker container for me, yeah, that's cheating. That's
like going into a casino, counting some cards and saying, I don't consider it cheating, I just consider it math. You know? You gotta see the movie. Okay. Anyways.
I mean, you might be right there, though. Right. Might be how I see it.
It's okay. It's all a matter of perspective. So my pick of the week this week is Garuda Linux. So everybody knows I switched from Arco to Garuda for stupid reasons because I was trying to fix a hardware problem. It didn't work. But I have to say I have really been enjoying my time on Garuda. They have some really cool tools that they bake in, kind of similar to what Manjaro does, but these are more extensive. Things like that allow you to change kernels, things that allow you to, there's a whole thing for clearing your cache or thing. There's an entire like console, not a console thing, but like an entire application that allow you to just do a ton of different things. Kind of reminds me of what MX does with their tweak tool, but these are kind of more separate and stuff. And what's really cool is if you bork your system, like you delete some applications or whatever that were originally installed, you can go through and just reinstall all the original applications with the click of a button. So that's really cool. I also love, so this is kind of like a separate pick, so I'm kind of doing two, but they're related. I've been loving Btrfs lately. Just Btrfs is really, really good. And the way Garuda sets it up and allows you to just do snapshots. You can do the snapshots directly from Grub if you need to. Like if you're not even able to get into your system but you can get to Grub, you can get to all of your snapshots right there from Grub, and it's really, really cool. Now I haven't had to use it yet, so I don't know how well it works, but I'm assuming it works just as well as everything else does. So Btrfs is really good on Garuda, and I'm at the point now. I think Btrfs should just be the standard for Linux. I really do. I mean, ext4 is good and is really, really stable. It's probably more stable than Btrfs, or Btrfs, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But the tools that Btrfs gives you for snapshotting and stuff and reverting your system back is just, I mean, invaluable. And I don't understand why. I mean, ZFS is really good, right? I mean, it's been around for a long time. A lot of people use it. But the tools for ZFS aren't nearly as well baked. At least I don't think so. So I don't know why Ubuntu doesn't use Btrfs instead. It seems like a better choice for a desktop system. ZFS works, I think, probably way better on the server. So that's probably why they chose it, because Ubuntu is actually primarily a server distribution. But I think that Btrfs would be better for just
Desktop.
desktop. Yeah, it's just so good. Just that it's kind of like having really good insurance, like good health insurance. Just
Yeah.
like you hate paying for it, but it's really nice to have, because if you break your leg and you need to go to the doctor, you don't have to worry about having to pay for it. It's kind of like that. Like, I haven't had to use it yet, but just the fact that Butterfest is there taking snapshots every time I do an update just makes me so much more secure about this whole installation of Linux. Like, I know if something fucks up, I can go back,
Hmm.
and it's a really good feeling. All right. What we're going to do now is move on to the question and answer session. So if you asked some questions, I also see another super chat here. So I'm going to, thank you for the super chat. We really do appreciate that. And I'm going to switch to the main screen now so people can actually see this. Main no camera. That's the one that I'm looking for. Okay. So we do have some questions here if we can scroll up. So Tyler, if you find some questions you want to answer as well, you can just shout them out as well.
Right.
Go
Tim
ahead.
Jones asked, "Do you guys have experience setting up monitor color calibration?" And he said, "I can calibrate, but not get the IYHRE profile to load." Let's start. I don't have any experience with color calibration at all. I just
Yeah, I don't either. I know that they have those spider things that you attach to your monitor to that will go through and like do it from hardware wise, but I don't know anything about software calibration.
same.
Let's see here. How do I enable dark mode on the new Linux Mint website? I don't know. I'm assuming, do they have a dark mode? Like a built-in dark mode, or I mean,
I have no idea.
like I'm looking now. I mean, we're gonna go hunting. I mean, I don't see a button here for dark mode or anything. Links. About project. No, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that there is a dark mode for like an official. But you could use something like that. What's the name of that extension, Tyler, that allows you to do dark
There's
mode?
so many of them. If
Oh,
you
yeah,
just search dark mode on any, like
yeah.
either Chrome extensions or Firefox extensions.
So that's what I'm gonna say. You have to do is download an extension to get that dark mode. But here's
Now, Immortality asked, "Did you like Emacs?" And we need a number out of 10.
TBD. All right, so all right, I'm going to make a video about this either today or tomorrow. I'm gonna need to put a video up, so I haven't decided. But just a sneak peek. I used vanilla Emacs for like a day. I hated the key bindings, and like I understand that you can change the key bindings. I understand this, but I'm not that interested in using Emacs to the point where I want to go through and change the key bindings. I haven't got that point yet. I haven't got that interested in it yet. So what I decided to do was install Doom Emacs. So I have Doom Emacs here installed. For those of you watching the video, you can even see I even have it attached to a key binding, so I can open it up right away. What I'm finding right now, and you gotta remember I haven't delved too deeply into it, is that I'm just using it like Vim. Like it has the Vim key binding, so I just use it like Vim. It's only been a few days, so I haven't got into org mode. I haven't got into any of the stuff that I want to get into that associates it with like VimWiki. So, because there are alternatives to VimWiki for Emacs, and I want to try those out, but I haven't had the chance yet. So once I start treating it more like Emacs and less like Vim, I think I'll have a better experience. If I had to give a definitive answer to how I like Emacs right now, I would just say that I would rather use Vim, because that's basically what I'm using it as anyways. All right. So, is there life after Firefox dies? So that was from Umka. I hate Google Chrome, Chromium, and overall WebKit-based browsers. They feel like missing some. Mozilla's probably in trouble, right? But
Hmm.
maybe you agree with this, maybe you don't. But I think that if Mozilla was to pay all their money to their CEO and no longer have any money, um, that somebody would fork Firefox. It would just be a very much smaller project, and it would lose a ton of users. It would just become a community project, and I don't know if you can make a community project browser that's actually any good.
No.
Um, I mean,
Well, I mean, I think
Q
the
brow
only thing that.
Q
Oh,
browser
correct.
has done it, but their user base is so small, you know.
Hmm.
So what other, and they don't make their own engine. So
Yeah.
um
Well, I mean that's what I was about to say. Like without the money that Firefox has, I don't think you can. I don't think you can actually develop a web engine. Like, I just don't think you can.
all right,
Like,
so the web engine itself is open source. So I
no,
wonder if somebody couldn't, so like if they wanted to fork the um the Chromium web engine, or what, Blink or whatever it's called. They wanted to fork that and make that the Firefox web engine. I don't know. Like I'm not sure. Maybe we won't ever have to see that future, and Mozilla will get their act together. But I think that it's always going to be a smaller project.
I just don't know that there are the people. I don't think there are enough people with the skill set of developing a web engine that necessarily have the free time to do it for free.
Yeah,
Like, also, I mean, if you can develop a web engine, there's so much money made. Like,
yeah. I mean, if you have the talent to develop a web engine, you're probably getting paid money to work at Google. I mean,
exactly.
that's the thing. There's a reason why the other browsers, Brave, Vivaldi, Opera, they all use the Google web engine. There's a reason why they do that, is because they don't want to put their resources into that because it just doesn't make sense for them
Well, I mean, it's
monetarily.
just it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Um, and like, I mean, if anyone keeps up with my channel, I've been while I'm pretty sure I have a dedicated video talking about it. Like, we don't need new browsers. Like, screw new browsers. We don't freaking need one. We need a new web engine, a fully open source web engine that can be developed by a community in their spare time and be like not necessarily competitive but competent. And I don't know that we can get that. Buddy has just woke up from his nap and is like, I mean, just ready to go.
How you doing, buddy? We ain't done yet, bud. All right. Oh, we're not far away. Crazy Chicken is the troll of the week. Here's a good question. Install Gentoo. Uh,
Fantastic
thank
question
you,
as
bud.
always.
Yep. Let's see here. We already asked that one. Umka says ButterFS is smooth like butter. That's funny. Uh, the biggest problem with ButterFS is they don't know what the fuck their name is.
Yeah.
Like, is it BetterFS? Is it ButterFS? I mean, nobody really knows. So let's see here. Any chance to go with OpenBox? I have never used OpenBox in my entire life. That's one of the few window managers that I've never tried. What about you, Tyler? You've ever used OpenBox before?
No.
Well, maybe video ideas, man.
Wait. Never mind. OpenBox is the floating window manager that, like, it's the one where you click on the desktop and you get the drop down menu, like task menu.
Mhm.
I think that's what OpenBox is. I used to use it back in the day when I used Crunchbang Linux. I don't know if you remember that distro.
Vaguely. I think I ended up using I think that LXDE. I think LXDE used to use OpenBox as its window manager. So maybe technically I have used it, but I haven't used it on its own. It used to be installed on every Arco system I had, but I just never logged into it. Maybe someday.
Dude, it's been so long since I used OpenBox. I almost forgot Firefox was. At first, I thought you were talking about something like, because I know there's something to do with VMs that's similar to OpenBox, and I'm not talking about VirtualBox. Yes, I know that's different.
All right, so we're just looking for another question here. Anybody? We need questions.
Oh, Astro Lol said, when you installing OpenBSD?
Maybe someday. Denton asks, "Do you guys hate Flatpaks or just snaps?" I'm gonna answer that question. Just snaps. I actually don't mind Flatpaks. I don't think the syntax for Flatpaks is all that great, but they're definitely better than snaps. Like miles and way better.
I'll just be your hype man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Screw Snapbacks. Or snap shit. Snaps.
They could call it, if they change the name of snaps to snack packs, I'd be all for it.
They'll never do that though.
Arch Center says LibreWolf. The problem with LibreWolf is that it's based on Firefox. The LibreWolf guys don't do any of their development. They just pull stuff out of Firefox to make their browser.
I mean, like the only thing that I'm waiting where I will legitimately give Brave a real shot, and I might even invest in Bat just because of this decision. If Brave comes out, I don't care. Like, they don't have to like just make it and like integrate it into Brave immediately. But if Brave comes out and they're like, we're making a web engine, at that point, I'm like, oh, game's on. At that point, I'll start using Brave. I might seriously invest in Bat at that point. Because if they're going to if they're going to be the ones to at least try to be innovative in the space, I'll support that.
I don't think that they're ever going to do it, though. I think that they're too invested in just... I mean, can we be honest and just say Brave is just Chrome? What exactly, other than pulling some Firefox stuff and changing the layout of the settings page, does Brave actually do? Besides,
they have their own search engine.
Well, yeah, but that's not part of the browser. That's a separate thing. I'm talking about just the browser.
Well, I mean, it is part of the browser. Like, I mean it's default in the browser.
Sure. Then does that mean that Bing is part of the browser for Firefox? Or, I mean, if that's, I mean, okay.
No. But Bing is definitely part of Edge.
Right, but I mean, it's not though. I think. All right, it doesn't matter.
Sorry,
it's okay. The thing with Brave is I don't know what they have done to make their browser unique from Chrome, other than add in a bunch of crypto nonsense. Like, supposedly they have an ad blocker, but their ad blocker is terrible. Like,
well, I mean, their ad blocker is their ad network.
Right. So they block ads, but they miss like half of them. Every time I install Brave, I still have to install uBlock Origin in order to get the 30% of the ads that they miss. Okay, and if you turn on their ads or whatever, that you get in the little pop-up, whatever, which is fine. I mean, I don't begrudge anybody making money, but I mean, it's just every single one of those advertisements that I've ever seen is some kind of financial advice thing or cryptocurrency ad. I mean, it's just weird. I don't know what kind of value they've added to Chrome at all, because it's just Chrome. I mean, with some privacy settings.
Yeah.
Okay. Can the rice wars be based on Xmonad? Oh God, crazy chicken. Why do you hate me so much? I mean, seriously, man. What did I ever do to you? I mean, seriously.
No, that's too like that made me pretty stressed out there for a second. I was like, I can't do that. I cannot.
See, the thing is, I could do it, but I don't want to. It wouldn't be the thing about the rice wars that we're going to do is that I really want it to be enjoyable for both of us. And if we chose a window manager that neither one of us enjoy, it would just be pain. You know, we just had a challenge that was nothing but pain. We don't need to interrupt.
We don't need a repeat right off the bat.
Astrolol says, I've never installed a Snap or Flatpak or whatever, and I've been using Linux for 9 months. I'm assuming you never use Ubuntu then, because a lot of times in Ubuntu, if you install something, you may be installing the snap and not even know it. Because you can install like Chromium or Firefox pretty soon, or several others that
GIMP,
they just
OBS.
default to snaps. It looks like you're installing from apt, but you're really installing a snap.
LQ Larry asked, music player do you prefer? And quite frankly, for me, it's going to be CMUS. I know you're different.
Yeah, I use NCM PCPP or whatever the hell it's called, which is a front end for MPD. And I love it, but I would not recommend it to anybody else. Just because it's a pain in the ass to set up, and it really, really is.
I'd recommend CMUS. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I've never cared for the looks of the CMUS, but I've tried it before. Honestly, I'm at the point now where I don't listen to music much on my desktop anyways. I subscribed to Deezer for a year. So I've been trying to get my money's worth out of that. Because I got a good deal. I got it for like $80.
Ooh.
So that was that. My first distro was Arch and then Gentoo. Astral said that. My first distro was Solus. What was your first distro, Tyler?
My first distro was Ubuntu. I have no idea the version.
You're such a vanilla person. I mean, what?
Well, I tried Ubuntu, and then I moved on to Zorin OS, like right after that, which was really interesting because like Zorin back in the day, like Zorin has gotten to the point now where it's like actually pretty decent. But like, dude, when I tried out Zorin, like it was a challenge to stick with it. I think I stuck with it for a few months. Oh, it was such a pain back in the day.
We should do an episode on Zorin because I have a lot of opinions about them. Miguel asks, what's your favorite key manager? I'm not sure what you mean. Do you mean like key binding manager, like SXHKD? In that case, my favorite one is SXHKD, despite the fact that it's a horrible name. Brandon says CMUS is ugly. I agree with that. But I think you can change the look and feel of CMUS, can't you, Tyler?
Yes.
So you can theme CMUS just like you can theme anything else. But the default look, yes, it is ugly. It looks like CMUS looks like.
To me, I love it.
CMUS looks like Midnight Commander without theming. Ricing the Mutter window manager. Is it? Can you can't just run Mutter, can you?
I have no idea. I don't even know what Mutter is.
Mutter is the window manager for GNOME.
Oh no. There's no part of no.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Mutter is still baked into GNOME, or I mean, it might be, but I mean.
You would have to run it because the window manager, it's definitely going to need like stuff like the panels are going to need different parts of GNOME. Like everything's so neatly tied in that you there's no way.
Right, but don't other
buddy, I hear you, man.
Don't other desktop environments use Mutter?
I have no idea.
We're gonna look at Wikipedia and see if Mutter is the fork. Muffin. So Linux Mint has forked Mutter and uses Muffin, which is a fork. But I don't see any other. I don't see any other uses of it anywhere else. So it's just GNOME. So I don't know how you'd pull it out and just run it on its own. Rice Emacs. Right now I'm just focusing on using Emacs. Let's see here. Miguel was talking about password manager. My favorite password manager is Bitwarden. Do you use Pass? Is that what you use, Tyler?
Yes.
Yeah, I use Bitwarden. Gavin says that there are other web engines that get less development. But, I mean, are they any good? I don't even know. I mean, most of them I've never heard of. Hyper says he started his Linux journey with Void.
Ooh. Void's pretty good.
Yeah, we all know my experiences with Void.
I mean, the problem with that though is you get used to run it, and then you go to like almost every other distro that's using systemd, and you're like, what's going on here?
I'm gonna put up a poll and ask how many people have ever even interacted with their init system, because I bet you the vast majority of Linux users probably have never even touched their init system.
I mean, you're probably right.
The normies, because I mean, even as like I consider myself an advanced Linux user, but I even know that more. I mean, that's kind of a lie because there's more people that use Linux that are much more advanced than I ever will be. But at my current level of Linux usage, I hardly ever interact with the init system. Like maybe once every few months. Like maybe. Like I only just recently did it, like in the last couple of days, because we were trying to get GitLab up installed. But prior to that, I couldn't even tell you when the last time was when I enabled a systemd service.
Oh, I do it all the time.
Do you?
Yeah, I mean, not like on a regular basis, but like every time I install Arch or pretty much most distributions, I'm starting up some type of service. For liquidctl, I make a systemd service for starting that up and setting it all up, controlling fan speed and colors.
I'm just gonna call you GL because I don't know how you're gonna pronounce your name with a 0 in the middle of it. So, he asked if I do a comparison between i3 and Sway. Sway is one of those things that I've been very stubborn about because I wanted to do a Sway video, but I don't want to do it in a VM. And trying to record in Sway from OBS has proven to be beyond me. But maybe eventually, yes. Systemd is causing some issues with Hyper's computer. I do apologize for that. As if it was my fault. I don't know how I would diagnose something that was caused by systemd, because I don't even know that would be the problem. Because I mean, I used to use the systemd services a lot more when I was trying to run a Plex server, because you have to have the Plex server service running in the background. So I was doing that a lot, but after that point, I hardly ever interact with it. Glowsec, okay, I appreciate that. I will now know how to pronounce your name. The numbers in people's names always mess with me. And yes, i3 and Sway are very similar, but their bars are not. Their bars are completely different. All right, hold on a second. We got to change that so people can actually see. Buddy's playing ball. I think that means he's time for some attention.
He's so excited. Yeah.
Okay. I think we're going to wrap that up because I think Buddy's ready for Tyler's attention. If we missed your question, we do apologize because it's really hard to keep track of stuff in the YouTube chat because it jumps around so much. So if we did miss your question, so we do apologize for that. Hyper says Xmonad out of the box is not really that complicated.
For me, I didn't have that bad of a time with it, but I did also have DT in my chat when I was live streaming about.
Yeah, that's like having the creator of Xmonad in your chat.
Yeah.
So apparently the Xmonad developer has gone through and they've released a new version of Xmonad and Xmobar. I just got a tweet about this today from the developer, and apparently it's going to be an easier process for getting the bar up and running from now on. So maybe I'll give that a try again. I did have problems with the bar, but what I really ended up having problems was with scratch pads. So,
Oof. And
and that
as we
wasn't a
all
problem.
know, you got to have your scratch pads
I
and
can't
workspaces.
I can't live without those two things, and key cords, man, key cords. Now, Xmonad does a fantastic job with key cords, but I can't stand Haskell. Like I hate it with a passion, with like a burning passion. I hate it, and it hates me just as much. By the way, it's a mutual two-way street, that hatred. Um, anyway, so that is it for us this time. Before I go, I'm going to take a moment to thank my current patrons: Devon, Chris, East Coast Web, Gen2 is Fun 2, Patrick L, Marcus, Megalyn, Jackson Typhool, Steve A, Mitchell, Arch Center, Merrick, Camp, Joshua Lee, J Dog, and the BSDs Rock. Coming up next week. Coming up next week? What are we doing next week? Oh, next week we're going to be talking about the most underrated distro. So that'll be fun. Now, if you are a patron and you would like to hear me wax on for about 45 minutes about that topic, that is already up as a patron exclusive. That was the lost episode that will never see the public's eyes. So you can support us and hear that episode by going to patreon.com/LinuxCast. And that should be a fun episode. So we will definitely have fun doing that. And I'm going to cough in
And
your
just
ears.
a little bit of shameless self-promotion here. As soon as I'm done playing with Buddy, there will be a live stream for Zero AD. So if you want to watch that, definitely keep an eye out for it. And you're also more than welcome to come and join my Discord, which you can find over on my channel, and you can play it with us. More
Indeed,
players,
you should definitely join Tyler's Discord. The LinuxCast does have a Discord as well, but it's not nearly as active because everybody just hangs out on Tyler's Discord. But it's okay. It's a much more fun and happy place. Anyways, thank you everybody for watching. We will see you next time. All right, so we're still live, but we're not going to be live for very much longer because I know you are. You're like dancing in your chair. I got to go play Zero D.
Buddy's pulling on the tennis ball.
Anyway, so everybody who has joined us live, we really do appreciate it. We will be doing this live every week now. I mentioned the times, 3 o'clock Eastern time on Thursdays. Again, you'll have to do that math on your own if you live other places. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.